So here's the thing I was thinking about for this is I wanted to do something just to kind of speak to you from my heart about how I think we can win in 2021. Because I don't know if you've heard about this. 2020 has been weird. Have y'all heard about 2020 just being the strangest year? I've said that it is the fastest long year in the history of Earth. Anybody with me on that? And so I want to help you out to be able to make sure you win in 2021, because really any business we do right now is 2021 business. So I want to help you win in 2021. And so I came up with these 12 ways to win. And somebody said, well, why are there 12 ways? I said, because it's the backwards of 21. That's how I came up with 12 ways to win in 2021. I want to hear from a couple of you though, real quick, 2, 3, 4 of you. Why are you taking an hour out of your day to jump on this little call with me? And what do you want to get out of it? So talk to me, use your voices now. You got to unmute and talk out loud, flip that camera on, and let's connect and see each other. What do you want to get out of today? You can raise your digital hand. There's a little raise hand button that you can click, or you can just start talking. So who wants to tell me, why are you here?
I want to know how to win.
Well, Gail, I'm so proud of you. Gail, what office are you in?
1013.
Which one's that?
Palm Beach,
1013? That's
Palm
so
Beach
confusing.
East. Palm Beach East, Coastal
Palm
Partners.
Beach East. Well, that's a great office, Gail.
It is a great office.
How would you know if you, when you get a year from now, Gail, how are you going to know if you won?
Well, you know what? I don't know, because I'm brand new, and I know that if I get 2 listings a month, I'm going to win.
Okay, so you would know if you have 24 listings in 2021, 2 listings a month, you're winning. Gail, I'm proud of you. Thanks for being here. So good to see you. Thanks so much. Hey, Lorianne, I knew you'd have something to say. What's going on, friend?
I took it because I love you, James, and you are my inspiration.
Oh, you're so kind. Thanks for saying that. Well, I'm happy to have you here with me today, and we're going to help you figure out how to win. Who else? How are you going to know, or what is it you want to get out of today so I can bring you the best value?
You know, James, this is Pam.
Hey, Pam Doberly. How are you in Bel Air?
Good. I heard you yesterday in our ALC clinic bring something up that really caught my attention. That was to have 15% of your business for 2020 in place by the end of the year. And that kind of what jolted me and took me back. And I thought, ooh, I've got to listen to James tomorrow, because that was a nugget right there, because I wasn't thinking that way.
Well, Pam, I'm proud of you for knowing that. And now you have advance notice, right? So you can get after it these next few weeks and make sure you get to 15%. That's going to be a bonus. That's going to be number 13. I'm going to give it to him later. So, okay. Pam, I appreciate you. I think there was one more. Was there one more person that was going to share?
Yes, James, Tamara Kralik, also from Palm Beach East Coastal Partners. Hi, Gail. And we are a great office. For me, the biggest thing, thank you, Gail. The biggest thing for me, James, is that every time I see you and every time I come to one of your classes, I walk away with so much motivation. And I really feel like I'm ready to jump into something. So that's why I'm here for you.
I'm proud of you for that, Tamara. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you for saying that. That's really kind. And that's my goal. I want to help you. You know, I say my job is to give you the inspiration so that you'll put in the perspiration. And ultimately, you might have all the inspiration you need. If you don't do the work, nothing's going to happen. So Tamara, that's right. You got to get after it. Well, here's how today's going to work is I don't have a PowerPoint to share. I'm not going to share a screen. I'm not going to do any of that diddly poo. Here's what I'd recommend you do. Put your view in speaker view. Get out of gallery view where you got all those Brady Bunch boxes and it's too distracting. You can tell if somebody's picking their nose, texting, doing something else, and put it in speaker view. And here's what'll happen. If I'm talking, you'll see me full screen. And if somebody else is talking, you'll see them full screen. All right. And that way it helps keep your focus narrow. It puts blinders on. It keeps you from getting distracted from all the people. All right. And then and what I'm going to do is go through the 12, and I don't know, is Kirsten on? Is Kirsten on here? I don't know if she's on or not.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Kirsten, different one. I'm
Kristen.
sorry. I love that you're here too.
Oh, sorry.
You're not the one I'm looking for. I'm proud of you though for being here. Thank you so much. So Leah McCann, can you help me with something, Leah McCann?
Yes.
Okay, as I give these 12, would you just type them in the box like the little things that I tell them? Would you mind just doing that for me? Would you be willing to do that? Are
Absolutely.
you going to be on the whole call? Are you going to be on the whole time, Leah?
I sure am.
Okay, you're the best. So if you just type like number 1 and whatever it is, and that would be great so that people can keep track of it. I love that. So I'm going to give you the kind of these 12 things to think about to make sure that your business is operating at the highest level possible as we go into 2021. And I know that some of you, man, about a year ago, you were all pumped up and excited for what was going to be 2020 vision, right? Wasn't everyone going to have 2020 vision? And then in March, it got a little blurry. And today I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. To start though, I want to read you something out of the Shift book. Was anybody on the call I did this morning on the Pivot Shift page? Was anybody on that call? And I do that now about once a week. And I used to do it every day. We did it every day for 6 months. And if you're not in that Facebook group, man, you should get in there. Just search Pivot Shift Ahead and jump in that Facebook group. Maybe somebody who's my friend could put the link in the chat box. Anyway, this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, I did a call. I do it every Wednesday morning from about 8 to 8:20. And I read a page out of Shift that I think is really important and I want you to think about. And it was from page number 15 and 16 of the Shift book. And it says, even though you know that history repeats itself, in order to profit from it, you have to remember it. And here's what happens. We've been in challenging times before. Now, I'll tell you that this one, for me, I'm 43. This is the most challenging time I can remember on a global perspective in my lifetime. Now, there's other people on the phone that may have, or on the call that may have a different perspective. And yet for me, this is the most challenging thing I've ever experienced. And yet I know that we can look back in the past and see what things have worked in the past that we can apply now. And so with that said, I want to read page 16 of the Shift book to you. And you might just jot down, pull out your Shift book, read pages 15 and 16. And it says this at the bottom of page 16. In order to survive and then thrive, you need to shift gears. Can you put it in another gear? Most people fear a shift because they cannot shift their thinking, so they don't shift their tactics. If you can shift gears, both your thinking and your tactics, you will accelerate ahead of the rest. My goal for you today is to help you accelerate ahead of the rest. And that's where I came up with these 12. So I want to walk through them with you. And at times I'm going to ask for your participation. And I'd encourage you to get out a piece of paper and a pen and jot down these as they come to you. And then we'll talk about a few of them. Here's the first one that I want to give you. And that is this. Number 1, know where you're going. This is the number 1 way to win in 2021, is to know where you're going. And what that really means is have a goal. Now, when I say this and I go, we got to know where we're going. Sometimes I'll meet somebody and they'll go, James, all I want to do, I just want to sell more homes than I did last year. I just want to sell more houses than I did last year. And I go, well, is that 1 more house or is it 20 more houses? James, I just want to get better every year, James. If I can just get better every year, I'll be happy as can be. And I go, well, how would you know? Like, how would you know if you got better? James, I just want to make more money. That's the only thing I want to do. I want to make more money next year than I did this year. Well, is that $1? Is it $10? Is it $50,000? Is it $1 million? I mean, what is it? So I think the first thing is sit down and go, what's my goal going to be? How am I going to know if I won the year? Now, let me give you something to think about, though, when it comes to goals. How many of you have set goals in the past? Raise your digital hand or your real one. How many of you set goals in the past and haven't reached them? Raise your hand. Oh, I see a bunch of hands up. Here's the one thing I want to tell you. If you set a goal in 2020 and didn't reach it, then maybe you don't increase it in 2021. Right? Because Margaret, here's what happens. If you set a goal in 2020 and you didn't hit it, well, then why would we increase a goal we already didn't hit for next year? Because what would happen? What are some things that could happen if we keep setting higher goals and keep missing them? Talk to me. Talk out loud. What are some things that could happen if we keep setting goals and missing them?
Frustration.
Go ahead, Alejandro. Go ahead.
It actually sets up your mood for negativity.
We get all negative and defeated. Yeah, absolutely. Who else? Who said something?
Lose motivation.
Frustration.
Ellen, I heard you. Go ahead, Ellen. What'd you say?
You just lose motivation.
Yeah, you lose motivation. I heard somebody say frustrating. And what happens is burnout shows up then. And so when we can reframe the goal, number one, or we just go and look, quite frankly, if I go, hey, my goal in 2020 was I was going to do 36 units and I only did 24. Well, I'm not going to increase my goal in 2021 to 48. It doesn't make any sense. So make sure that we set a goal. We know where we're going, and yet make sure it's a goal that's on point. In other words, make it a winnable game.
Attainable.
It's got to be attainable, Margaret. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And there's lots of classes, by the way, that can help you with stuff like that. In fact, I'm doing one December the 1st, business planning clinic. It's called Business Planning in a Pandemic. And I'll go through all the models from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent to help you set, Margaret, attainable, realistic, doable, winnable goals in 2021. I'm going to put the link in here. It's www.2021bp.com. www.2021bp.com. And it's December 1st. We'll jump on the Zoom just like this from 10 to 4 Eastern time. All right, we'll all get together. So if you want to take that, you're welcome to. So, all right, number one, know where you're going, have a goal. Here's number two. Know why you're going there. Number two is know why you're going there. If number one is know where you're going, well, number two is know why you're going there. Have a purpose. Have a purpose that drives it, that gets you excited. Sometimes we'll call it a big why. Now, be honest with me. Oh, I see a hand up. I see a hand up. How do you say your name? Adonia. I want to say it right. Who is that?
Tadanya.
Did she want to say something, or just her hand up? I don't. Okay, I'm gonna put it down. If she wants to say something, she can raise it back up. Here's the thing. How many of you have ever struggled with figuring out the purpose behind the goal? Like, you have to smile and dial and talk to your database and do all that kind of stuff, and yet the purpose seems to be missing. Has anyone, raise your real hand or your digital one if you've ever struggled with that? I see a bunch of hands up. Here's the thing, is that sometimes I think we haven't done a great job of helping you understand how to truly find your passion. And we tell you that, it's got to be building a school in some random country where little boys and girls can learn to become astronauts. And quite frankly, for some of you, it may just be putting food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever taken Bold with me, and I imagine a handful of you on this call have taken Bold with me, you've probably heard the story of on my 30th birthday when I moved from Indiana to Florida, and my dad met me with the moving truck. I just got married and divorced in about 12 seconds. It was so fun. And Margaret thinks it's funny. And I just got married and divorced. And so I'm moving now out of my ex-wife's hometown to come down to Florida. Because what do? Why do you move to Florida? Because you're running away from your problems. How many of you moved to Florida because you were running away from something, right? So my dad meets me, and we pack up the car, the little moving truck, and they needed a credit card to pay for the moving truck. And I said, Dad, I don't have a credit card. Would you mind putting it on yours? And he said, that's totally fine. And and then we had to do the same thing for the gas, like driving all the way down to get down here. And truth was, I had plenty of credit cards. I just didn't have any room on them. Anyone ever been there? Some of you might be there now. And I was maxed out. I'd bought a house that I moved out of and put a tenant in there, and I moved in with a friend, and the tenant would pay me rent. And that's what I used to buy food. And I got 3 or 4 months behind on my mortgage. I actually settled all that up. I still own that house, believe it or not. And things were tough. So we are driving. David's asking me where in Indiana. I grew up in Indianapolis, although I was living in Northwest Indiana at the time. So we were driving down I-65 to get to, we were going to Tallahassee to pick up my sister. She just graduated from Florida State, and she was moving to Orlando, and I was coming to Tampa. And we're driving down there, and I remember stopping to get gas. You ever had those moving trucks and you have to stop every third exit to put gas in it? And Mila, it's $172 to fill it up, right? It's crazy, and it gets about a half a mile to the gallon. So we stop and we put gas in, and my dad's pumping the gas. and I'm watching have you ever watched the gas ticker thing go up, 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 up? And at one point it passed. It was like $130 to fill the tank. And I had a realization right then. I was so broke, I literally could not put a tank of gas in that moving truck. August 4th of 2007, my 30th birthday, I was worth a grand total of $86. That's how much money I had to my name. And $86. That was a tough time. And yet it was a defining moment for me, because that gave me purpose to go, I'm never going to be there again. Like, we're going to fix that and get out of that. How many of you have ever hit rock bottom? And the thing is, you know, people who hit rock bottom often make a success out of themselves, because hitting rock bottom is hard. Well, I don't want you to have to hit rock bottom to win. And yet I do want you to have a purpose behind it. And sometimes for me, quite frankly, my purpose was to be able to pay my bills and move forward, be able to get out of that challenging time. And I got out of it. Know why you're going where you're going. And when you have a purpose, then quite frankly, absolutely anything is possible for you. So number one is know where you're going. Number two is know why you're going there. Here's number three. Start moving that way. Start moving that way. Yeah, see, number one is know where you're going. Number two is know why you're going there. Well, number three is start moving that way. And here's what happens. All of us this time of the year, we reflect back on the current year and go, here's what I liked, here's what worked well for me, and here's what I didn't like, so here's what I'm going to change. And gosh darn it, come January 1st, I'm going to change that. Except we don't do that. We don't change anything really on January 1st. You know, I see a bunch of people on here from Southwest Florida. I love Southwest Florida. Those offices, Punta Gorda, Fort Myers, Bonita Springs, Naples, Marco Island. I love you guys, and I love coming down there to visit. Lee McCann, one of my favorite places to visit. In fact, you came and saw us when we were there one time. Your kids came and hung out, and your husband and Naomi, and played with your kids, and the grown-ups got to hang out. It was fun. And here's the thing, that Coconut Point there at the Hyatt there in Bonita Springs is so nicely. Isn't that place great?
It's amazing. We love it.
God.
We love when you come and visit.
Yeah, I love it when we come down too. It's the best kept secret in Florida. And we like to come down there. And here's the thing. So we live up in Tampa Bay area. So here's what I'd do is I'd go, okay, let's see. We're going to go to the hotel, and they got the water slides, and they got the beach area, and they got the this and the that. So we need to pack. We need swim trunks, and Naomi needs her mask, and we're probably going to go to a nice dinner. So we want something nice to wear. And then we need some casual stuff. And I need a hat because I don't have any hair and I don't want to get sunburned. So I need to put my hat on. And you know, we're going to bring a couple bottles of wine because I'm not going to pay $84 for canvas wine, okay, over at the Hyatt. So we're going to bring a couple bottles, and I pack up everything, load it in the car, drive over to I-75, right, Leah? It's right off I-75. So drive over to I-75. And I start heading north on I-75 on my way from Tampa to Bonita Springs, Fort Myers. Start heading north on I-75, right? That's going to be so exciting, isn't it? Nope. Nope. It's not going to be exciting. It's not going to be exciting because I'm not going to get there because I'm going the wrong direction on I-75. I'm going north. If I want to get to Bonita Springs, Fort Myers, Coconut Point, I have to go south on I-75. And this is the kind of garbage we do to our stuff every day. We say we're going to do something, and we get all prepared to do it, and then we start going the wrong way. And here's a key piece. If we're going to know where we're going and know why we're going there, well, we actually have to start moving that way, and here's why. Because your direction, not your intention, determines your destination. Your direction, not your intention, determines your destination. That's Tim Keller, by the way. That's where I learned that. Your direction, not your intention, determines your destination. You may intend all day long, who is my friend needs to take 2 listings a month, 24 listings a year. That's her intention. Gail, I think's your name, right, Gail? Gail, are you still here?
Yes, I am. And
Okay,
yes,
Gail, now you told me that it's 2 listings a month, right, in order for you to hit your goal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your intention. Now, if Gail doesn't start doing the things that are going to bring her 2 listings a month, if she doesn't go in the right direction, it's never going to happen. So that's why we say, number one, know where you're going. Number two, why you're going there. Number three, start moving that way, because your direction, not your intention, determines your destination. You didn't know I was going to take you to church on a Wednesday morning, did you? That's what we're doing. Number four, track the right things. That's number four, track the right things. Were any of you at the digital mega camp that was so good? Gosh, was that in September? The digital mega camp was so good. And Tim Ferriss was a guest, was one of the keynotes at that. And he said something. He said, not everything that can be tracked actually matters. And a lot of people spend a bunch of time tracking stuff. I want you to track just a handful of things. And here's what it is. I want to know a handful of things. Number one, how many calls do you make on a daily basis? Now, I'm not asking how many people do you talk to. I just want to know, like, how many dials do you make? Now, some of you in the COVID time, we're doing a lot more dials than we would say door knocking or other things. So I want to know, how many calls are you making? If you're not doing that, if you're knocking on doors, how many doors do you knock on? That's, the first thing. How many calls? Number two, how many contacts or people do you talk to every day? I want to know that. So I want to know, how many calls do you make? And then I want to know, how many contacts do you make? And then the third thing I want to know is, how many appointments do you get? Now, I'd like you to track those three things every single day. How many calls, how many contacts, how many appointments? Now, I spent 7.5 years as a team leader. 4 of those years at Tampa Properties, Northwest Tampa Market Center, right here in our region. And I have literally spiral notebooks full of what I would write was calls, contacts, and appointments. I put the date, and then I'd write calls, contacts, and appointment. And every time I made a call, I put a little tick mark. Every time somebody answered, put another tick mark. And every time I got an appointment, I put another tick mark. Well, if I keep track of those 3 numbers, what am I able to figure out? Somebody tell me. If I keep track of those 3 numbers, what can I figure out?
How many calls does it take before you get an appointment?
I know, Alejandro, I know exactly how many dials I have to make a day to hit my goal. Like, I have turned it all the way back to, if I just sit down, I don't even know if they're going to answer. If I just sit down and on average, if I dial 35 phone numbers or whatever the thing is, then I know I'm going to talk to enough people to get the number of appointments. And here's what happens. Now you make real estate a daily winnable game. It becomes a daily winnable game for you that you sit down and you go, I'm going to narrow my focus so much that I know I need to either A, talk to this many people, or B, make this many dials in order to hit my goal. Gail, when you track that, now you're guaranteed to take 2 listings every single month, because you know the daily activities, you know what you got to do on a daily basis. So that's number 4, track the right things. Number 5, commit to a standard that isn't 0. Commit to a standard that isn't 0. That one's kind of weird. People go, well, what do you mean by that? Now, let me explain. I want some of you to tell me, what's your standard for, let's say, listings taken in a week? What's your standard? How many listings do you take in a week? What's the standard for you? In other words, what's the fewest that you'll do? Who will share with me? What's your number? You can type it in the chat box or tell me out loud. What's your number for listings taken in a week? Type it in the chat box or tell me out loud. This is interactive, y'all. This is interactive.
I would say 1 a week, James.
David, you say it's 1 a week. Hey, David, how many did you take last week, David?
Last week, I didn't take any.
Okay, all right. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. Doreen says she'd love to take 1 a week. Well, Doreen, how many did you take last week, Doreen? Type it in the chat box for me. There's no judgment here. This is judgment free. Oh, Doreen, you're unmuted. You say 1 a week. What'd you do last week, Doreen?
0 last week.
0. Thank you. Appreciate your honesty and transparency. I like honest and transparent people. Let's see. Who's next? Come on. Tell me your numbers, y'all. Tell me your numbers. Type them in the chat box or tell me out loud.
1 per week.
Who said, okay, 1. Ooh, Jasmine got it right. Jasmine, unmute. Jasmine, you're a genius person. Jasmine, are you there?
Hi, James.
Hey, how are you? I like you. You're smart. You put the correct answer in the chat box. What did you put?
0.
0. Because do you ever have a week where you take 0?
Yes.
Right. Right. I love you. Thank you for being so honest and transparent. I like you. And I like your background. That looks great. I love your Be to Achieve back there. It looks
Thank
really
you.
cool. You're welcome. Jasmine hit it. See, a lot of times we'll say our standard is 1 or 2 or whatever, except actually it's 0 because we'll have a week where we take 0 and it's no big whoop. Whatevs. I'll get after it next week. I'm asking you to do this, and I'm going to mute everybody and then you can unmute in a minute. I'm asking you to go, don't settle for 0. Make sure your standard isn't 0. That whatever the most important thing it is in your business that you're going to measure. So let's go back to our friend Gail. Gail says she's going to take 2 listings a month. Well, then that means she can go ahead and have a week where it's 0, right? That's okay. If she has 2 weeks of 0 and 2 weeks of 1, she's hit her goal. If she has 1 week of 2 and 3 weeks of 0, she's hit her goal. So what I'd say to Gail is, well, why don't you make sure that you have a listing appointment every week, right? Make that the thing you measure, right? And I love what Leah just put in the chat box. In the absence of a standard, it's a suggestion. So I want you to make sure your standard isn't 0. That's number 5, which leads to number 6. And the number 6 way that you win in 2021 is to follow the 3, 20, and then 1 model. 3, and then just put like a comma, Leah. 3, 20, 1. There you go. You got it just right. Follow the 3, 20, and 1 model. That's number 6. Let me give it to you. Let me give it to you here. We know Gary Keller has been telling us for decades, we've got to lead generate a minimum of 3 hours. He'd like for it to be more, a minimum of 3 hours every single day. So we got to do 3 hours of lead gen. Now remember, your 3 hours of lead gen isn't necessarily calling people for 3 hours. That includes, say, script practice and role play, pulling your list of who you're going to call. Maybe you call expireds and you want to pull all the expireds during that time. Maybe open house is your lead gen that day and you're preparing for your open house, right? So he says you got to do 3 hours of lead gen every single day. So I want you to commit to the model of 3, 20, and 1, which is a minimum of 3 hours of lead generation every single day. Now, I know we have smart people on here. What does the 20 represent? What's the 20 in the 3, 20, and 1? Patricia,
20 contacts.
So close, Patricia. I like you. You're so close. Stephen, what'd you say?
Adding contacts.
20 contacts.
20 contacts a day. That's, Stephen, and you know this from all the times we've been in Bold together. That's conversations. You talk to 20 people, right? Yeah. Now, by the way, Stephen, could you call them and say, hey, I was curious who you know that wants to buy or sell? And they go, I don't want to do anything. Get off my phone. Leave me alone. Do not call me again. Hang up.
That's a contact.
The answer is yes.
Yep.
That's a contact. You can't control what they say to you.
Right.
You can control what you say to them, right, Stephen? I know you agree with that. So here's what I'm saying. The model is going to be you do a minimum of 3 hours every single day. And then Stephen, Rolando, you got it right too. You do a minimum of 20 contacts every day. Now, by the way, isn't that about right math-wise? Like, shouldn't we be able to do about 20 contacts in 3 hours? What's the 1 stand for? Who knows? What's the 1 stand for?
An appointment?
One appointment.
Yeah, Lori. What, Lori, was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lori, you nailed it. Schedule 1 appointment a day. Now, I'd prefer that it be a listing appointment. Like, that's what I prefer, except I know we got buyer agents on the call. You don't do listings, you do buyers. So that's fine. And for some of you, maybe you're just starting out. Maybe you're new into the business, or maybe you're going, hey, I've been stuck at 10 deals a year and I want to get to 20 deals a year. And so I don't care what kind of an appointment it is, whether it's buyer or seller, I'd prefer it be seller, and yet either way is good. Imagine what your world would look like if for 4 or 5 days a week, you did 3 hours of lead gen every day, talked to 20 people every day, and got 1 brand new appointment every single day. What would happen to your world? I mean, if you do the math, what's that, Lori?
It would be much better.
Oh, no joke.
More lucrative.
No joke. I mean, if you think about it, that's 5 appointments a week, right, Lori? That would be 5 appointments a week. There's 4 weeks in a month. So work with me on the math. That would be 20 appointments in a month.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And then if we multiply that, there's 12 months in a year. That's 240 appointments that you've scheduled. Now walk through this with me. Let's say you're horrible at your job. I mean, let's just say you are not a very good real estate agent. You don't have great scripts, you don't have great systems, and yet you scheduled 240 appointments. Would you be able to get half of them to list with you or work with you? Even if you're not very good? I think the answer is yes. Half the people. That's 120 listings. And even if you're bad at your job, could you get half of those listings to sell? Yeah, that's 60 closings. You figure an average commission to $7,500, that's almost $500,000. Do you understand that even if you aren't any good, you should be able to make $500,000 a year in real estate if you focus on one thing, which is 3 hours, 20 contacts, 1 appointment every single day. If you follow that model, your life will change. Let me tell you about my friend Tara. Tara is an agent in Atlanta. I coached her one-on-one for MAPS for about a year. And one time she got on the phone with me and she said, James, I'm out of listings. I have a listing crisis. And this is where we came up with the 3-20-1 model. And I said, Tara, here's what I want you to do. Just text me every day at the end of the day, 3 numbers. I don't need a bunch of mumbo jumbo, cutesy wootsy, okay, fluff and puff, okay? I just need the numbers. No cutesy wootsy, mumbo jumbo, fluff and puff. Just give me the numbers. How many hours, how many contacts, how many appointments? The hours can never be less than 3. The contacts can never be less than 20. And the appointments can never be less than 1. She said, sounds good. Oh, happy day. So she starts it. And guess what happens? Laura, you'll like this. She starts texting me. And the very first day, it was 5.5, 27, and 1. Now, y'all are smart people. What do I know? How many hours did she lead generate that day? Talk to me.
5.5.
5.5, Lori. Okay. How many contacts did she make?
27.
27. How many listing appointments did she schedule?
1.
1. Which contact was the appointment?
27.
27, Doreen, because otherwise she wouldn't have made 27.
Right.
Right? Okay. The next day, Doreen, you'll like this. The next day, 4.5, 24, and 1. Those were her exact numbers. Well, what do we know, Doreen? She did 4.5 hours, right?
Yes.
24 contacts, right?
Mhm.
When did she get the appointment, Doreen?
24 call.
You got it. Now, let me tell you something. Do you know that the most contacts she ever had to make in a single day was 27, the very first day? Now, we did this for months. And I would start to, a couple, 3 weeks into it, I'd start to get a text and it would say 3, 24, and 3.
Wow.
So what would happen is she would get real happy with her contacts. She'd keep going, except she'd be scheduling 2 and 3 appointments in a day, and they were all listings. And here's what happened. About 6 months later, we get on the phone. We do our coaching call. And Doreen, she was screaming at me, like angry screaming. I go, what, Tara, what's going on? What's going on? We're getting a little crazy. What's going on? Do we need to hang up and start over? What's happening? She said, James, my customer service is slipping. I have all sorts of people mad at me. I said, well, what's going on? She said, I have more listings than I've ever had in my entire life, and I cannot service all of them. Now, who would like that problem? Who would like to have more listings than they've ever had in their entire life? And I said, Tara, now we've got a better issue to fix. See, it exposed another hole. I said, I'd rather have that problem. I'd rather have angry sellers than no sellers. I'd rather have people that are frustrated with me because I'm not staying in touch with the way I want than no one to stay in touch with. And so, yeah, you're right, Scott, and then it's time to add leverage. And we did all that. And yet none of that comes without the listings first. So that's the value of the 3-20-1 model. Now that takes me to number 7. Because see, that was number 6. See, here's where we are. Know where you're going. Know why you're going there. Start moving that way. Then track the right stuff. Make sure your standard isn't 0. Follow the 3-20-1 model, which takes you number 7, leverage command. Leverage command to help you. See, because the truth is, the person who spends the most time working is not the person who wins. It's the person who's most efficient. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is make sure that you are leveraging command to support you in helping you become more efficient. And I want you to remember, any of you have kids, know anyone with kids, or were ever a kid? Raise your hand if you have children, know anyone with children, or were ever a child. All right, I think that should be everybody. I my wife and I have an 8-year-old. Her name is Naomi. She's in 3rd grade. And I like to think of it, Leah, just real quick on your note, the waiting room is empty. There isn't anybody in the waiting room. The thing I think about is this, like, I still pour into my 8-year-old girl to help her grow and become better, right? That's my responsibility, to support her and help her in her growth and development. Does she do things that are goofy? She lied to me about something really dumb the other day, like really dumb. So does she do things like that might frustrate me and make me just want to yell?
Sure.
The answer is yes. Except what do I do because I love her? I pour into her, I help her, I lead her along the way. I need to remind you of something. Command is 3 years old. Command is in VPK. And what you don't do is reject it, you lean into it. Leverage it to help you. And if you need help with that, your market center probably has a trainer that can help you. The region does. There's classes, there's stuff on Connect. Just know, hey, anytime you learn something new, you're going to get frustrated. Did y'all notice Facebook changed the way it looked about a month ago? It made everybody mad for a few days. We got over it. And then you unfriended everybody during the election, and we've moved forward. All right, we've moved forward. So leverage command, learn about it. All right, that's number 6. That's number 7. Here's number 8. Add accountability. Add accountability. Yeah, well, we have to. Well, here's why we have to add accountability, because who's ever read this book right here? It's called The One Thing. Anybody ever read this book?
Reading it right now.
You're reading it right now, Lori? I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. In The One Thing, Gary says this. He says, look, if you set a goal and tell somebody about it, you're nearly 40% more likely to achieve it. If you set a goal, tell somebody about it, write it down, and then give a progress report, in other words, update somebody on where you are, you're nearly 80% more likely to achieve it. When you set a goal, write it down, and give somebody a regular update about your progress, you become nearly 80% more likely to achieve it. And that's why number 8 is add accountability. Now for you, that might maybe your office has a productivity coaching program that you should enroll in. Maybe you qualify to join MAPS coaching, either through Breakthrough, which is a call, twice a month, or Mastery, which is a call every week. Or maybe you just need to sit down and use a little tool we have called a 411. And I would challenge, if we have team leaders of market centers or ALC members on here, get on your training calendar in December, time management with the 411, and teach it as an ALC member or a team leader. Teach that. And let's all get working in a tool that by you giving regular updates to somebody else, you become 80% more likely to achieve the goal. That's number 8, add accountability. Here's number 9. Number 9 is eliminate the noise. Eliminate the noise. I got that one from this book right here. Here's a fun little book I've been talking about now for about a month, called 1,000+ Little Things Happy, Successful People Do Differently. If you have been on the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group, I've been talking about this book for a while. 1,000 Little Things Happy, Successful People Do Differently. And what it is, it's a little like coffee table book. You can just pick it up, read 2 pages, get something that adds value to you. And there's this one that I really liked, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, there's a couple things in here. When I say eliminate the noise, here's an example it gives. It says, reply to emails, voicemails, and texts at a set time. Because can those things be noise that distract you?
Of course.
And here's what it says. It says, this ties into the ideas of single tasking, and distraction avoidance. Set specific time slots 2 or 3 times a day to deal with incoming communication. Set a reasonable maximum duration for each time slot. And unless an emergency arises, stick to the practice. I thought that was good about eliminating the noise. Here's the other one, though, it says in here that I like. It says, narrow the number of ventures you're involved in. This goes into eliminating the noise. Narrow the number of ventures. In other words, it says, say no when you should say no. Working simultaneously on too many fronts at once causes all activities to slow down, stand still, and sometimes even slide backward. Focus on what matters most and say no more often. So that's eliminate the noise. And here's the way I'd look at it. I want you to attend things, because could we be on the Zoom and a boom boom all day long, right? I mean, we could be all up on the Zoom all day, every day. And I'm just saying, I want you to, as you're picking and choosing where you're going to spend your time, it either needs to lift you up or move you forward. Anything you participate in when it comes to eliminating the noise, anything you participate in either lifts you up or moves you forward. If it doesn't lift you up or move you forward, it's out. It's out. That includes your Snapgram. All right. That includes your Twitter sphere. If it doesn't lift you up and move you forward, it's out. Number 10, follow a schedule. I actually believe this is the number one determinant of success, is your ability to follow a schedule. Now, I need someone to help me out with this. Did anybody on this call go to high school? Who went to high school and can walk through a series of questions for me? Would somebody unmute? And I want to walk through. Doreen, was that you that unmuted real quick?
Yes.
Doreen, where did you go to high school?
In Jamaica.
You went to high school in Jamaica. That's exciting. What was the name of it?
I went to Ver Technical High School. It's tracks. It's known for track, for people who run track.
Oh, that's good. So are you a fast runner?
No, I wouldn't consider myself.
Oh, okay. You went to the track high school. Here's the thing, Doreen, I want to ask you. Now, I don't know how high school works in Jamaica. Did you have like different classes at different times with different teachers?
Yes.
Yeah. So what did they do? Like they gave you a schedule?
Yes.
And they go, oh, you have, you know, your literature class at this time, your history class at this time, your algebra, whatever, right? Did they map it out like that?
Yes.
How did you know when to go from one class to another?
Follow the schedule. It tells you the time.
It told you the time. Did they have any system in place to tell you what time it was? Like you needed to go from one class to another?
No, once you sign up for your classes, they will tell you what day, what room, what time, and you would get that schedule and you would have to follow it and know which room to go
Got
to.
it. Got it. Now look, now you can see, look at all the Americans though typing in the chat box. See, you're smarter in Jamaica than we are. Because all the Americans are going, the bell rings, the bell rings, the bell rings. Do you not have a bell in Jamaica?
We have bells in Jamaica. I had a bell.
Javelle, you had a bell in Jamaica.
We have the bell when school starts, but once you're done with your first class, you know what room to go for the next.
Okay, all right. Well, we're learning something new. That doesn't surprise me, by the way. In Jamaica, it's like, whatever, we'll get to the class when we get there.
No.
No, oh, they're both shaking.
Oh no, oh no.
I love it, I love it, I love it. Here's what happens. Here's what happens, right? And stick with me. In high school, and probably middle school too, when you were supposed to go from one class to another, the bell just rang and told you, and you put your books in your backpack and you got up and you walked to the next class. And you had, like at my high school, we had 7 minutes. I went to Lawrence Central High School in Indianapolis. We had 7 minutes to get from one class to another. And Stephen, here's what would happen, Stephen. I bet this happened to you too. The closer the classrooms were to each other, the more likely you were to be late, right? Because you didn't have as far to go, you'd take more time. And here's the deal. When the bell rang, everybody was in their seat. And when the bell rang again, everybody got up and left. And we followed that schedule. And here's the deal. Then you went to college. And if you went to college, they still had a schedule, except there was no bell. And you found out nobody cared if you were there. And that's when you got off your schedule. Literally, you followed a schedule from birth until you were 18 years old. And then once you turned 18 and went to college, you quit following a schedule and your life got bad. Here's the thing I want you to get. We got to get back to following a schedule, because here's what we've done. We have given the bell to all these other people. We have given the bell to all these other people, and they ring it when they want you, and you respond to it. Here's what I want you to do. This is your mantra for 2021. Take back the bell. Take back the bell. You control the schedule. You decide when you're going to go there. And here's what happens. You determine the schedule. You put it in your calendar. I'm going to lead generate every day from this time to this time. I will only do appointments at these times and these times. I'll only show buyers on these days. Like, you pick the schedule and fit people in it instead of you fitting into theirs, because you're the professional. And then the other thing you do is you turn off all your wingy dingy blinky winkies on your phone. Turn off your ringy dingy blinky winkies on your phone, and then no one can ring your bell. See what happened for us, we went on a Disney cruise a couple years back, and I went through the internet in about 13 minutes. And so I went to the internet guy and I said, can you fix it? Because I went through the internet. And he said, you have too many updates. And he turned them all off, all my wingy dingies and blinky winkies. He turned them all off. And then I got off the boat. I didn't know how to turn them back on. My phone doesn't ring, blink, tweet, buzz, vibrate, anything at all. And I've never missed anything. It doesn't even tell me when I have a voicemail or a text. If you call me right now, if anybody calls me right now, it'll light up. Somebody can try it. It'll light up, except it won't ring or vibrate. It won't do it because my system's set up that way to make sure that right now it's on DND. So if you call me, it's going to go straight to voicemail. So here's my point. I haven't missed anything and life has moved on. Take back the bell, follow a schedule. Number 11, ask for help. Number 11 is ask for help. I believe our greatest superpower is the ability to ask for help. I have a podcast called Positively Dad. It's in a bit of a break right now as things have been so crazy and I've been doing so many things. So I haven't published an episode in several weeks. And yeah, I invite you to check it out. Some of you on this call have been on my podcast, and I invite you to go check it out. And I talked to a gentleman named John Doran. John Doran really helps kids work on their mindset and think really big. And John Doran taught me this. He said, our greatest superpower is the ability to ask for help. And yet here we are, and we won't do it. And yet sitting all around you in your office, a text away, a phone call away, the next door down is somebody who knows. And I'll hear people tell me, James, you know what? I'm embarrassed to ask this. And I go, I'd be embarrassed if you didn't. Number 11 is be willing to ask for help. And it's your greatest superpower. Number 12. And then we're going to get some ahas, and I hope that this has been of value to you. Number 12. Oh, real quick, Leah, you say we preach this to our children when they need help. We tell them, and yet we stop. Look, Naomi and I talk about this all the time. And if you ask Naomi, what is your greatest superpower? She will tell you it is her ability to ask for help. Because Naomi is like me. She wants to put her head down and figure it out. And so this is an important message to teach to your kids. You're right, Leah. All right, so that's number 11. Here's number 12. Choose abundance and possibilities. Choose abundance and possibilities. I know this year has been tough. I told you it's been the toughest in my lifetime. I basically lost my job when I didn't think I would. My daughter gets sent home from school. We have to reinvent everything. And yet I'm going to choose to focus on abundance and possibilities. What is out there? What opportunity does exist? And why can't I be the one that accomplishes it? So as you prepare for 2021, choose abundance and possibilities. Invite those into your life. When you invite abundance and possibilities into your life, opportunity shows up. When you invite lack and scarcity into your world, then, I don't know, disaster shows up. So I'm going to ask you to invite abundance and possibilities. All right, those are my 12 ways to win. I trust you got some value. I want to hear from a few of you. First of all, did you get some value out of this time? I think you paid $0 for the class, so I hope I gave you what you paid for. Let me hear a couple of ahas, and then I want to tell you a couple of things. Real quick, post some stuff, if you will, on the Instagram. James D. Shaw is my Instagram, James D. Shaw. So if you had an aha or something, post on the Instagram. Also, if you want, I want you to join me for business planning in a pandemic. And I'm going to put the link in the chat box December 1st. If that would be of some value to you to really make sure you have your plan for 2021, that link I just put in the chat box is business planning in a pandemic. Helena, what's going on? Welcome back. It's my second day with you.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing, especially your ups and downs, and was curious to know, how did you experience, like, did you ask for help when you were going through that transition period to get back on track? Or
when I had $86, had $86, do you think I was going to run and tell people I have $86? No way. I kept all that inside and made it a hell of a lot harder than it needed to be. Except here's what happened. On my birthday that year, my mom gave me a check for a birthday present for $500. Now that's the most money she's ever given me that I can remember. And she gave me a check for $500. And I never told her anything, except I just think she knew I was struggling. And so she helped me out. And yet, had I been willing to ask for help, don't you think I could have gotten out of that mess so much faster? And quite frankly, had I asked for help, I would never gotten into it.
Correct.
I would never gotten into it. Yeah, you're exactly right. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. What else stood out to you from our conversation today? Who else wants to share? You can raise your digital hand or just speak up.
James, I want to share.
Go ahead, Mila.
Thank you. Thank you, first of all, doing this. A lot of reminders. It's like all 4 books in one.
You got it. Well, this is what I always tell people. When you hang out with me, you aren't going to learn anything new. You're just going to be reminded of
No,
some.
actually, I did. There was something I never heard before. Take back your bell. That will be my mantra because I love it. Take back the bell. So this is something new I never heard from anybody, and thank you for this. This is.
You got it. Yeah, take back that bell. You control that schedule and teach your agents in your market center to do the same. And if I understand, is this your normal team meeting time and you gave that up today so that your people could be in this class?
Absolutely. I have more than 20 agents here today. Thank you guys. You're awesome because I knew it's going to be valued.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hey, Steven, what's up, friend?
Hey, so 2 things really that stood out the most to me. One is with conversation I've been having with my coach about, acting where you want to be. And so we talk about moving in the direction you want to go. We created a 5-year vision, and she said, start acting like that person right now today. What would that person do? How does that person show up every day? Yeah. And then the other thing was about asking for help. That's been one of my biggest challenges that I've been working on. And I just think about how many things would have been changed or better in my life had I asked for help sooner. So those are the 2 biggest things for me.
Stephen, act as if. That is so true. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to spend some time with the women's basketball coach at Harvard. And she was at the time, she had coached the only team in college basketball to ever go to the NCAA tournament as a 16 seed and beat a number 1 seed. Right now, it's happened in the men's tournament since then. I think UVA lost to somebody a couple of years ago. Before then, though, it had only happened in the women's tournament. And that's a big deal, right? So effectively, you have who they believe to be the best team in the entire tournament playing who they believe to be the worst team in the entire tournament. And her team won, and it had never happened. And here's what they went into. They just said, act as if we are the top team in this tournament. Have the belief in you that you are the top team in this tournament. And they ended up making a historic run in that and beat the number 1 seed. And that was her mantra all year. Act as if, act as if. Stephen, here's the thing. If you aren't there yet, just either A, believe that you are, just act as if you are, or number 2, find someone else who believes it's possible and borrow their belief in you, right? Borrow their belief in you and use that to move you forward. Thank you so much. Ellen said, everything you do should either lift you up or move you forward. Eliminate everything else. I love it. Lorianne? Are you there, Lorianne? I think you might have bad Wi-Fi. All right, I think we lost her. Friends, for spending some time with me. I trust you guys. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something? I see you waving your hand.
Yes, I would like to mention when you said commit to a standard that isn't zeros.
Yeah.
That you don't accept the 0, which means the 320 and 1. It could be more than 3 hours. It could be more than 20 calls. It could be more than 1 appointment. Just don't accept the 0. I love that.
Get after it. And on that 320 and 1 model, that means you go until you've accomplished all 3. Those are your minimums. I love it. Thank you so much. Leah McCann.
So I love the take or track the right things. And you all know I'm in the thick of raising kids. And I think about the things that we track for them when they come home. We track the successes. We very rarely ever focus on, we look at them as opportunities, but we very rarely focus on all the negatives. And I think we as agents and business owners need to start looking at what can we control and focus on those things. And I think the other thing was eliminate the noise. We get that there's a lot of distractions, dings, and that. It's also eliminating the noise of negativity, the people that aren't building you up. Look at the 5 people And now is a good time to do that because we're in that place of gratitude. We're heading into the holidays. Look at the 5 people that you're choosing to surround yourself with every single day. And are they adding value? If not, it's okay. Go find new friends. You have, 180 people that were on this call. Plug into somebody that's on this call that's lifted you up, inspired you, or encouraged you. Connect with them because it's going to change your world.
Yeah, 100%. You know, for me, Leah, what it has been in the last couple of weeks, quite frankly, is the best thing. One of the best things that came out of election season for me is choosing who I'm going to follow on Facebook and who I'm not. And, you know, I had 5,000 friends. I'm now down to like 4,970. So I lost 30 people. Oh, happy day. Because there are people posting stuff. I'm like, you know, I barely know this person. They took one class with me back in 2013. I don't need this mess showing up on my feed. Eliminating that negativity is a real big deal. Hey, Pam Doberly, Stacy wants to know, what is bonus number 13? It's the one you taught us off the top. You want to give us bonus number 13?
Sure, I'd be happy to share that. So James taught us yesterday in another class that right now we should be focused on getting the 15% of the business we plan to take in 2021. Get it in place and under contract between now and the end of the year. And that's going to propel us forward to have huge success in 2021. Yep. And James, you reminded us yesterday that so many agents are already on vacation for the holidays, right? What a huge opportunity. Our competition is so low now. Yep. We really should get after it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Pam, you're so right. And with the holidays looking a little bit different, you know, this is the year to go ahead and maybe work Wednesday, right? Maybe work Wednesday because maybe you're not traveling somewhere, and check in. And all I would do Wednesday, quite frankly, is I'd call my top 20 or 50 people, my favorite 20 or 50, and just say, hey, I've got gratitude for you. I'm so thankful to know you. I'm so happy to have you as a client, and I just want to do that. Like, that's what I would do. And when she's saying, as far as your goal, here's what happens. If your goal, let's say, is 24 transactions in 2021, you want to have 15% of that pending on January 1st to be on track, which means you need 3 to 4 pendings walking into January 1st to be on track. Thanks, Pam, for sharing that. Yes. Okay, Jasmine, you get the last word. Jasmine, thanks for being on. What you got?
So I wanted to, first of all, thank you so much. You have been an inspiration to me, and everything that you've taught me has been so hands-on, and it's really hard for me on Zoom. So I wanted to thank you for that. They mentioned a few of the highlights, but one of the ones that really stood out to me was say no more often. I think that I tend to say yes too much to things that are distracting me, and I need to do what you said, which is lift me up or move me forward. And if it's not doing that, I need to eliminate it. And one of the other things that also was a big aha that I've heard plenty of times, but I've been so afraid to implement it because of the challenge, is my accountability partner. I need to have my son be my accountability partner.
You know what? Let me tell you real quick. So I told you about Tara, right? You remember me telling you about Tara? She had a, this is the person that had to get the one listing appointment every day, Jasmine. She has a son at the time who was in kindergarten, I think. And the deal was, if she didn't get her 5 appointments every single week, the one a day, then they had a weekly, like, mommy son date night at Chick-fil-A. That was important to them. And what 5-year-old doesn't love Chick-fil-A, right? And she had to tell him if she didn't get the appointment, she couldn't take him to Chick-fil-A. So he would get in the car when she'd pick him up at school, and he'd ask her, Mommy, did you get your appointment today? Because I want to go to Chick-fil-A. Having him walk her through that, honestly, if I had to guess, what was it really that got her to do what she needed to do every day? It was she wanted to take her 5-year-old to Chick-fil-A. That's a true story. Yeah, Jasmine, that's a true story. All right, everybody. Much gratitude to you. I love all of you. Thanks for spending some time with me. We'll see you around. Be safe out there. All right. Be safe. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Shoes on, get up in the morning, let's rock and roll.
Thank you, James.
You got it.
The drum rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the throne. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. 'Cause it's